Michigan beats Cleveland State 101-53. Absolutely dominates Cleveland State, takes care of business. Dusty May gets his debut win for Michigan, his very first game as the head coach, and they go out there and they dominate this game. Danny Wolf had 19 points, 13 rebounds. Trey Donaldson, 16 points, 7 assists. Nearly messed around and got a double-double himself. Michigan just absolutely, they led from the start. Complete dominance, offensively, defensively. At the end of the day, this was a great win, a great watch for Michigan fans, but we're going to get into some of the pros and cons and things like that. But Michigan's offense, let's start there. All right. Super efficient shooting. Michigan shot an impressive 68% from the field and 59% from three-point range. 59%. That's incredible. Second highest scoring percentage in Michigan history. Coach May praised the teams for their finishing ability, their shot selection, especially around the rim. And what makes that even more impressive is that these starters hardly even played the entire 20 minutes. Well, some of them did play over 20 minutes, but you got Roddy Gale Jr. only 19 minutes, Vlad Golden only 21 minutes, Numari Burnett 20 minutes. I mean, the starter you had play the most was Trey Donaldson with 27 minutes, but you got a lot of guys some extra time that's valuable right now for them to be playing and for them to be getting into the game. Fat Brooks got himself 12 minutes. The transfer Sam Walters from Alabama, he got himself 23 minutes. Huge stuff. These are going to be important players down the stretch for Michigan, so getting them in now is huge. The ball movement was spectacular. There was a lot of transition passing. I mean, this looks like a team that is going to get out and transition as much as they possibly can. Some of the skip passes, a lot of these passes were just on time. They were accurate. They did a really, really good job. Multiple players contributed. 7 players scored during an 18-2 run. Sometimes when teams do that, it's just all 1 or 2 players scoring off of each other. No, 7 players score on an 18-2 run. Coach May graded their unselfishness with an A-. I don't know where he got the minus from, but the A-. There was no one hunting for numbers or anything like that. He said just complete selflessness, trying to work together, trying to be a team. And that's what you want to see. A team that's bringing in so many players from the transfer portal. Was this a team where players would be coming in and trying to be the star, trying to get their numbers, trying to do this, trying to do that? This is a team that wants to work together and wants to help the team win. Above all else, it's clear that Dusty May is building a good culture at Michigan, and that's really good for the Michigan fans. Now, the cons. There were some turnovers. There was some offensive sloppiness. All right, I'm not going to act like there wasn't at all. They did in this game have 16 turnovers, but what I did like is they forced 21 turnovers on Cleveland State. So Cleveland State themselves was turning the ball over quite a bit. You can afford 16 turnovers when you're forcing 21 on Cleveland State. Now, do you want it to always be 16 turnovers? Of course not. You want to get that down. But like I said, I'm not too worried about it. Michigan was a bit loose with the ball at times, but I think some of that was just they knew they were going to win this game. And even though they were unselfish, they knew they were going to win this game. So they got a little bit sloppy at times. It's okay. It is what it is. But Dusty May, he's a really good coach. He's going to nip that in the butt. Defensively, strong defensive adjustments by Dusty May. Early in the game, Cleveland State, they were managing to penetrate Michigan's defense, but the team quickly adapted. The dribble drive was there for Cleveland State, but Michigan was able to get their big, tall 7-footers down there, make sure they were cutting that kind of stuff off. Effective help defense as well, and when somebody else came in to help, the guard or whoever it was on the perimeter, they were able to make sure they got out to the next guy. It was really good defense collectively together. As a unit, Michigan forced tough shots, made defensive stops that limited Cleveland State shooting to just 53 points in this game. They shot 2 for 19 from 3, and yikes, 21 for 70. That's good for 30% shooting on the day. Just not a great night shooting for Cleveland State, and a lot of that is attributed to the very good defense that Michigan was playing. Now, one of the reasons why Cleveland State, even though they had more turnovers, was able to get 70 shots to Michigan's 57 was the offensive rebounding. Cleveland State in this one got 20 offensive rebounds. This is a concern for Michigan going forward. This is something I highlighted at the beginning of the season was the physicality of this Michigan team. They seem a little finesse in ways, right? Which isn't unlike a Michigan basketball team or an unlike a Michigan team at all. So they were a little bit finesse in the scrimmages early, and they were a little finesse in this one as well. I'm not going to say it's a bad thing because every team kind of has their pros and cons, but even if you are going to be a finesse team, you need to do a better job of making sure the other team is not getting double-digit offensive rebounds, especially 20 offensive rebounds to their 10 offensive rebounds that they had. Overall, Michigan, they weren't missing very many shots. Cleveland State was missing a lot of shots, so obviously they had more opportunities for offensive rebounds, but still, you want to secure those. You don't want to get outshot by the other team by 13 more shots overall. So the reboundings, that was a big thing for me, something that Dusty May is going to have to get that worked on, get that figured out, the physicality of this team, whatever he has to do, get them in there. And it's not like the team is weak. The team's not weak. It's not like they're soft or anything like that. I'm not saying that. I just think the team needs to be a little bit more physical, especially before they get into Big Ten play. There were some early defensive lapses, but I felt like the defense improved over the game. Like I said, some good defensive adjustments that happened later on. Let's highlight some players. Danny Wolf, he had a double-double, 19 points, 13 rebounds was a key highlight. Coach May praised Wolf's versatility, noting his defensive effort and offensive rebounding. Look, folks, Danny Wolf is going to be a problem for teams in the Big Ten. He is a type of player that, yes, he plays the four, but he can play the four, right? He's the type of player, you get him the ball at the top of the key, and he's going to be able to drive by a guy. He has the ability to go head down to the basket. He's not just a back to the basket type of guy. While he can do that, he also has the ability to face up to the basket and drive and get the ball there. And it's really, really good to see. It's really encouraging for Michigan fans to see Trey Donaldson, like I said, 16 points, 7 rebounds. He played a crucial role in orchestrating this offense. He did a great job of getting the offense down and getting them into their sets. It was really, really good to see from Trey Donaldson, especially a transfer coming in to play point guard for this team, a transfer that Dusty May is not familiar with. It's not like he's had him on his team before running his offense. He ran the offense well from what I saw. Will Cheddar, he had a highlight reel dunk, a huge dunk in this game. Go find it. But he was just a well-rounded player, added to Michigan's momentum, was playing with a lot of juice, a lot of fire out there. He was screaming on the floor when he was going for loose balls and the bench contributions. Now, I know, like I said, the starters, a lot of them played 20, 21 minutes. Trey Donaldson had 27 minutes, but a lot of bench contributions from this team. 47 points coming off the bench. A strong performance players, like I said, Will Cheddar. LJ Kaysen had a good game as well. He had 14 points. My main takeaways from this game for Michigan is that May emphasized the team's competitive intensity both offensively and defensively, and we saw that. We saw a very competitive team, a lot of juice. Like I said, Will Cheddar was bringing that juice in a lot of ways. Sam Walters, when he hit the transition three, he was coming off the floor screaming, cranking himself up, cranking the other players on his team up. You can tell there's a lot of juice on this team, and they were just finally ready to get out there and play some ball. The improvements on the shot finishing, I felt like were better. That was one area of the physicality that I felt like could have been improved. And I do want to note, I did talk about the physicality with the rebounding, but I did feel like the shot finishing down low was better. They did a better job of that. And players were focused on doing the quote unquote right things, they said, making good decisions, being good with the ball. Now, they were not always good with that. Like I said, 16 turnovers in this one, but they were also making good decisions on defense, creating and forcing Cleveland State into turnovers. I do think that they need to be a little bit more consistent. It's hard to say against a team like Cleveland State, but I would like to see a little bit more consistency as they go throughout the year, and that'll come. These are a bunch of transfers together, working on stuff and getting better. That'll come. But for the most part, I mean, at the end of the day, Michigan's season opener showcased the team's offensive firepower, defensive potential, and their depth. It was huge. While there were some defensive issues and turnover issues for the Wolverines, they adjusted. The unselfish play was a major positive for them. And moving forward, Coach May will focus on fine-tuning these elements of a competitive level increase. This was a great game for Michigan, great game for Michigan fans. You got to be very excited about the Dusty May era and how it's starting. If you want to start listening to a new Big Ten basketball podcast, check us out on Thursday nights. Thursday night, it's me and at least one other guest, and we're talking everything that goes on in the Big Ten. A lot of discussions, coaches, players, who's the best, who's not the best, all those kind of things. We'll talk about that stuff. We do a lot of game recaps like this, just me one-on-one with you. So please do subscribe to the channel. That way you will know if your team is being talked about on here. We talk about every team. We're not one of those podcasts where it's like, yeah, we're Big Ten, but we only talk about 4 teams in the Big Ten. We talk about every single team. We watch every single game. That's why we bring on multiple different hosts to host the show with me to make sure we're getting the most accurate analysis possible for the Big Ten and what's going on. Thanks so much for watching. We appreciate it. I'll see you Thursday night at 9 o'clock.